Hello and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta and Buffy is back today, but to put a little spin on things, she decided she wanted to interview me, and I said, why the hell not?
Sounds like a good plan.
So, Buffy, what you got for me today?
Oh, what happened?
I don't know. You disappeared for like 2 seconds.
I know. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. Okay. Well, all right. How does it feel that the tables are turned?
It's a little intimidating, not gonna lie.
Well, all right. So how about you start off by just telling us a little bit about what you do currently?
Oh, this is always a fun question because what don't I do? And I don't say that like in a cocky way. It's just, I'm one of those people that's like, that sounds cool. I want to do that. That sounds cool. I want to do that too. But in general, I do have a regular 9 to 5 job. I work at a mental health company handling their insurance claims. So that's super fun. I get to battle with them and argue with them when they don't pay us when they are supposed to. And then I write books. I just finished my first fantasy novel. I do this podcast. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. Um, yeah, that's the main things, really.
You're all the things.
I know.
Well, and it's interesting because since I know you, I know that you have recently discovered part of the reason why you like to be all over the place. You kind of dabbled in learning about your human design.
I did. And we're both learning astrology right now. And I'm learning tarot because for those that don't know, actually, astrology and tarot actually go very candidly together. They make a lot of sense together, especially as you start to read about them. And then, yeah, human design. Um, those that remember Lo or Lauren from last season, she was our wrap up episode last season. I did a reading with her, and she is very into human design, and it was super interesting to find out. So I highly recommend if you don't know what your human design is to find it out. But yes, I am what they call a manifesting generator, which is somebody that just has ideas all the time, constantly, which explains a lot of my life, which is why I tell people to do human design because it literally was like a light bulb moment where I was like, oh, my whole life makes sense now.
Completely agree. I definitely looked into my human design and I too am a manifesting generator. And I'm like, oh, that makes total sense. Like, I still am trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. But yeah, it's all the things, all the things. Just spark your moment. So you just got done writing a book. So tell us a little bit about that. Are you there?
I have no idea what just happened. But anyway, you were
I
talking about you were trying to figure out, or you just found out you're a manifesting generator too. So
Yes, all the things. We like to do all the things, and it's kind of whatever sparks your passion in the moment. But you just got done writing your first fantasy book, correct?
I did, yeah.
How was that adventure?
It was very intimidating at first. I think a lot of writers and a lot of creatives and a lot of manifesting generators probably experience this as well, where you deal with imposter syndrome a lot, where you're like, I don't know about this. And then switching genres is also just intimidating. Um,
Now,
because
what is it that you normally write?
I normally write romance. I can talk romance, like slash rom coms, kind of just all on that. Rom coms are very much like my bread and butter because I'm pretty funny. So,
You are. So
um,
this was definitely stepping out of your element then.
it was, but my girlfriend that reads my raw writing, which I always tell anybody who's a writer, if you can have somebody that you can trust like that, that you can send your raw writing to, it really makes a difference in your process. Um, and she loved my rom com, thought that was my bread and butter, same as me. And then obviously she had she's read all my fantasy, and she's like, I don't know, this might be your new bread and butter. So, I mean, she's a little biased, obviously, because she's my friend, but still, I think it went well. It was a lot of fun once I got over the fact of societal norms and just letting myself do what I want to do. And then it became
That
a lot
has
of
to be
fun.
difficult. Yeah, that has to be difficult. So how many books have you published?
I've published 6. This will be 7. Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. And they say that the one that you struggle with the most ends up being like your big one.
We'll see. I also hired a fellow military spouse. Didn't say that earlier. I am a military spouse. A lot of y'all already know that if you've been here long enough. Um, to make my cover, and she's painting it, and it's amazing, which is also super exciting. I'm hoping painted covers become like the new thing, or I'm gonna make it the new thing. So I can't wait. I got an update today. It's so beautiful. Can't
Love it. Love it. So what sparked writing?
I've always been a storyteller, always, since I was a little kid. I carried around a tape recorder. For you younger folks, we used to have, a little thing that you'd put a tape into to listen to music. It wasn't just on our phones like it is now, but you could also like record and stuff with it. I literally used to record songs off the radio in order to keep them before like LimeWire became a thing. But anyway, so I started off telling like stories about like my talking family dollhouse to my little tape recorder, or just like rocking around the neighborhood and telling stories. And I wrote my first book at 14 when I was in high school. It's terrible. I still have it. It's in my closet. Very teenager esque, writing
That is
about,
awesome.
yeah, writing about having, I think I had like 7 brothers and sisters. Could you tell I was an only child? I gave myself like 7 brothers and sisters. I had a Jeep, which I have a Jeep now. So, some things do come true. Um, but yeah, I just always been a storyteller. And then I moved back home with my parents in 2019 when my husband deployed. We were supposed to go to Hawaii. I wasn't going to go to an island by myself right after he deployed and be there by myself with nobody. So I moved back in with my parents, and I spent that 6 months writing my first book.
What a way to spend it, though.
I had no
Now,
excuse anymore. I literally had no
right,
excuse
right.
anymore.
And this is something that you've always wanted to do, correct?
I think it was one of those things where like I always thought it would be like a hobby, and I didn't think it could be a job. Because like when you go to college and you go to school, like everybody's like, "Oh yeah, that's a cool idea," but it's not really a job. Like not everybody can be Stephen King. Again, going back to those societal norms of people being like, "You can't do that. You don't have a writing degree. You don't have this." So I think I always thought it was going to be a hobby and that it couldn't be much more than that. And that's not the case anymore, especially with the ability for indie authors to now exist to be able to publish things yourself. So a lot of things have changed.
Definitely. Yeah, because you now have 6 published books under your belt with a 7th, and that actually is not just going to be the only book, correct?
It is not. It's going to be a series. I'm not sure if it's going to be a duology or a duet or a trilogy. It's definitely at least going to be 2. And I'm actually I actually started working on a novella. So there's going to be a novella too. So there's definitely numerous aspects to it, which I feel like is pretty normal for a fantasy.
That's awesome. Totally awesome. Now, where did you come up with the idea for the fantasy?
The fantasy. So I've dreamed a lot of my books. My duet that I wrote before was a dream. So it was kind of a combo of a dream slash like being inspired by Nordic mythology. Um, I have Viking roots, Nordic roots. So Viking mythology has always interested me. And I remember after watching Spartacus, which granted, Spartacus is not Nordic mythology, but it is based on, older stories. Feeling very like inspired by it, which kind of probably sounds crazy to some people because it's very sexy and it's very like brutish and gory. But I was like, this is such a cool like story. So it was kind of a mix of things. My love of Nordic mythology, being inspired by a goofy TV show, and then dreams.
That's awesome though. Um, and most of your books have come from some personal aspect of your life, correct?
Yeah, I think a lot of writers tap into like you tap into what you know, right? You know, what you not necessarily like experiences, but what you know. You try not to put too much of yourself in the book, but it's really hard not to at all because it again it goes back to what you know. But a lot of it's dreams. I've been a very vivid dreamer my whole life. I'll wake up sometimes and be like, "What in the crap was that?"
That is awesome. I mean, but that just goes to show you, though, how creative you are. And as you mentioned, you are an only child, which gave you a lot of time by yourself to be creative, not
It
having
did,
any
and
siblings. Yeah.
it did, and then like we've talked about in our group that we're in, just being in that like theta and like alpha state, like I feel like my mind just is like, oh, I'm free and I'm not dealing with this nonsense of her just worrying about everything and doing all these things that I am now going to bombard her with all the things.
Yeah, I know you've got a lot on your plate daily, just as a mom, being a mom myself. I know what that's like. We do all the things and then some. And then you're a wife and you're writing, plus you have, your job. So, it's a lot. How do you find time for all of it?
Oh, goodness. Honestly, like I just do, which is terrible advice, obviously, but you just it is true about what they say that you make time for what you care about. So I literally just make time for what I want to do. Do I struggle? Absolutely. Are there nights that I don't want to do crap and I just want to sit in front of the TV? 100%. But it's taking those moments to decide what you want to do that's important. One thing that I love that Burchard says, and even Abraham Six says, follow what excites you. Actually, a lady that I just talked to about turning my book into a movie said follow the glitter, which I love that.
Oh,
So
I like that.
it's literally just following the glitter of the day. And for people like you and me, it might be different every day, but for other people, it might just be, and it could be simple things. I want to go for a walk today. Cool, do it. I want to roller skate today. I want to read this book today. Whatever it is, you just have to find time for it. Now, I 100% am not that person that'll get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to make time for stuff. I'm not getting up early to do things. I would much rather stay up late than get up early because I know there's people out there that'll be like, oh, just get up an hour before you normally would and you have time. No, I will be a cranky mother effer if I get up an hour before I need to. So, understanding yourself and knowing what you're willing to do to make time for things.
Definitely, definitely. I'm the same way. I will stay up as late as possible, and that's when I thrive personally. That's when I'm the most creative. In the middle of the night, when I should be sleeping. But that's also when I don't have kids and all the other obligations that gives me the time to be able to actually focus without interruption. So I can
Exactly.
probably understand that you have some of the same similar situations.
Yeah, the house is quiet. Everybody's kind of minding their own business. Now, I can't stay up as late as I used to anymore, but I would definitely rather be on that end than to get up early. I cannot, I will not be a happy camper.
Understandable. Now, and the podcast, it too has kind of switched up a little bit because you were previously doing it with your cousin, and now you've taken this role on by yourself. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's just life changes. Connie and her husband had a baby. They're talking about potentially having another baby. You know how it goes as a mom. I know how it goes as a mom. It's hard, especially when they're little, to make
Oh,
time
definitely.
to do things. She works a regular job. Her husband works a very busy job where a lot of times he's working 7 days a week. So she's kind of doing the mom thing on her own. And it was just time. It was just too hard because she would want to record really late at night. And even though I just said that I do like to work at night, I'm not somebody that like when I interview people, I'm like focused in. And then I can't just go to bed afterwards. I have to unwind. which I'm sure a lot of people are like that. So you're like, I have to, watch TV or read a book or whatever. And then then I feel like my whole night is off. So it just, all that to say, it was just our time together was done, but I was not ready to drop the reins. So I've worked on this for too long to just be like, bye. So here we are doing this. And then going forward, since it's just me, I am going to post more. So y'all be prepared for that. I think what's going to happen, at least the plan right now, is Tuesdays are going to be like spiritual days. So like tarot and astrology and human design and all that kind of like holistic spiritual stuff. Thursdays is going to be like true crime. I've always been a let me try that again. True crime junkie. Buffy, I know you are too because we've talked about this. Like,
Yes.
I know we shouldn't be like making serial killers famous and all that, but it's fascinating. And if I can even help solve a crime or get somebody in the right direction, why why not? And then Friday will be the usual. Friday will be like what you and I did, gosh, 2 or 3 weeks ago now. I love talking to the everyday heroes of the community, people that people can relate to. Because even if it helps just one person, like if your episode helps one person, then it was worth it.
Oh, agree, 100%. Yeah, that's amazing. I love the idea that you're taking it in a different direction as far as posting more. But you know what? The great thing about it is you always have the right to change your mind at any point in time and change the direction of what you want to do. But I do know that like Tuesdays being more of a spiritual um, type broadcasting day, that's really aligned with a lot of things that you've encountered over the last, well, how long has it been that you've really started to get into the spirituality portion?
My dad
I know you
exposed
and
it to
I, sorry,
me. No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I know you and I, we've been doing this together since end of January, beginning of February. We're in the same group, but I know you had actually started on that path prior to.
Well, my dad exposed it to me when I went to college because, he wanted me to have ways. Because, you're going into a completely different lifestyle. You're on your own for the first time. He wanted me to have ways to cope with things. But I didn't really take it super seriously. I was 18. I was going away. I had freedom. I was ready to have some fun. So
Right.
it was exposed to me early, but I didn't really start to take it seriously probably until the last couple years. Um, I did start like reading it sooner than that, but I didn't really start taking it like really, really seriously until the last couple years with our group and Loren again, who was our last season, joined her group as well, and just have been learning so much about the mind, the subconscious mind. I've always been a big reader, so being able to read books about all that kind of stuff is very intriguing. I can share it with my dad, which I love. It gives us something else to talk about. And I've just seen myself change so much that it's like, well, I'm not going to stop now. There's got to just be more to learn. And it seems that there's a lot of other people, one, that want to learn about it, or two, can benefit from it. So, yes, there are a ton of other spiritual podcasts, I'm sure, but none of them are coming from me. So, I figured, why
Exactly.
not?
Exactly. No, I don't remember exactly how I stumbled upon it, but I think, and not to try to call out our age, although I'm a little bit older, so
I think
it
we
hits
already
me
did
a little
that
harder.
when I talked about the tape
Yeah,
recorder. So,
yes, this is true. This is true. But I think you hit a point in life where you start re-examining things and you look at life in a whole nother realm per se. Um, and it really makes a difference in how you really show up every day because you're looking for more of a meaning to life. And I know it kind of steers you down a path. And I came across it by accident.
mhm.
So having somebody that talks to everyday people that are heroes in their community or that have a story to tell that could just help that one person and incorporating stuff that you enjoy, that might be the difference in somebody learning about something that could save their life. I mean, it's literally been life-saving to some people.
Oh, absolutely. And I found all about that because of the podcast. I talked about this a little bit in our group. I interviewed KP, and KP's amazing. I think I actually met him on Clubhouse, which I don't even know if Clubhouse isn't around anymore, but we did a podcast swap. He's an awesome dude. And then when I was writing Good Vibes, I was looking for somebody who was a tarot card reader because when I write things, I want them to be accurate. So I wanted to talk to a tarot card reader, which brought me to Robin. And then, that was the start of all that because then Robin took me down the path of a different way of looking at mindfulness and understanding tarot and astrology. And then I joined her group, and then I met you, and then I met Lauren, and it just was this cascade of things that just kept happening, but it all stemmed from the podcast. So it only makes sense that I would finish it out by bringing it back to the podcast.
I love it. I think it's awesome. And it's something that you're good at. It gives you the
Well, thank you.
ability to, you're very welcome. But it gives you the ability to talk to different people and put information out there that really could be very beneficial to somebody. And the entertainment, I mean, who can beat that?
I have met some of the coolest people doing this podcast. Some have become friends. Some have at least become, people that we keep in touch with. But I mean, people from all over the world, from Australia, from New Zealand, from France. Like, how I never would have done that otherwise. I have a close friend from Scotland now. I mean, like, it's crazy.
That is so awesome. It truly is. And we couldn't have done this with tape recorders. So I'm glad technology's evolved.
Technology, we love to hate it, but it does bring us good
Yeah.
things too. And even now, like I'm sitting here just like I'm like in my back, my brain and my subconscious, stop talking about you. You're the interviewer. So even now my brain is like, this is backwards.
Yes, I can imagine it's pretty different for sure. Ha have you, well, I know you said that you've been on other podcasts. When you did those exchanges, how did that work? Were you interviewed or did you just talk about something specific?
Yeah, I was interviewed. So like you do like a swap. So like for like KP, like I was on his podcast, he was on my podcast. I did the same thing with Kirsten. She was on our podcast. I was on her podcast. Um, so yeah, it's fun to do that because then you like also make connections with other people in the podcasting community. And I still go back to KP and we'll be like, hey, what? I don't like this platform. What do you use? I don't like it. Give me something different. And he'll be like, oh yeah, I use this. So I mean, lifelong connections.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, that's honestly how we really get a lot of information is word of mouth and through other people's experiences. So the more people you know, the more experiences that you have to try out other
Yeah,
people's that is.
exactly.
But what they find that they like and use. But okay, so we have a little bit of info on what it's going to transpire moving forward with the podcast. And we've heard a little bit about your new book. I heard tell that you spoke with somebody about movie. Do tell if you want to, that is.
I did. I wish I could say like flat out like, oh yes, it's going to be a movie, but it was more so like what I was just talking about, like another one of those connections where she was like, I can recommend you do this, you do that, like jump on here, talk to this person, um, and just sparking new connections with the proper people and just giving ideas, which was super helpful. Her husband works in the business. He's worked in the business for a long time and like started off, I forget what she calls it. The crew in Hollywood has like a very specific name and I can't remember now for the life of me, but like he started off working as a crew. He actually is an author now too and like talked about what it's like being on a Hollywood crew, which is super interesting. So it was just getting basically a little foot in the door is what it was. I wish I could say like, oh yeah, it's for sure going to be a movie at this moment, but I can't. But it will be. Just I
It
can't
will
say
be.
that at this moment.
It will be. Maybe not right this minute, but you got to get the book published first. I
Exactly.
mean,
Or it'll
you're in the
be
process.
a Netflix series or a Paramount series or it'll be something.
I mean, I know we're going to see big things from you. We already are starting to. So it's only a matter of time. And I love that I can be on this journey with you. But so tell us about since you are self-publishing, correct?
I am right now, yes.
Okay. So how does that look exactly? I mean, I know a little bit because I'm your friend, but I mean, for the average person out there who maybe would be inspired to write, but thinks like you had those social norms that, oh, you can't do this, you're just a normal person. What kind of advice would you give them?
That is a great question. The thing that's beautiful about like indie authoring and just the things that have opened up since all that became possible is it's actually pretty easy. Um, so you do it through what's called KDP, which stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, and that is how you get everything out on Amazon. That's all Amazon related. If you want it to be outside of Amazon, you use what's called, oh my God, and my brain just left me. It'll come back to me. Oh, Ingram Spark. See, there it goes. It came back. Ingram Spark gets it out everywhere else. So, and this just means electronically because I'm going to say Walmart and Target. And people are going to get really excited. It will not put it on the store shelves in Walmart and Target. It'll be there electronically. So, Barnes and Nobles, Target, Walmart, anywhere else is what you use Ingram Spark for. But it's really easy. They have step-by-step instructions of like how to upload it, what size it needs to be. It'll ask you how many pages it is, what color you want it to be. The only time it's going to get complicated is if you want like one of those really pretty, like what I've got on my bookshelf, like sprayed edges and stuff. That takes a little different, and I'm still learning that. But that's when you just start asking questions. Like the girl that's painting that I randomly found her on Instagram, I think, and asked her to paint my cover. She had made a comment like, "Oh, I love painting whimsical fantasy scenes," and I had just commented like, "Have you ever done a book cover?" And she's like, "I would love to," and I was like, "Let's do it." So you just make those connections with people, and then once I made a connection with her because she's in the art world, then I can be like, "Hey, do you know anybody that does sprayed edges? Do you know anybody that does special different covers?" And she's like, "Yeah, let me reach out to so and so." So you just keep building those connections. But in general, if you just want to publish, KDP makes it really, really easy. Like you just follow the instructions. Sometimes you'll get a kickback. You usually will tell you. It usually has to do with your cover. If it gets kickback, it just has to be resized. Use Canva. Canva is really great to make covers. Pro is only $12.99 a month. And if you don't want to pay the $12.99 a month, somebody else can share it with you. So make friends with somebody that has Canva. But you don't have to spend a lot of money. I know there's tons of authors out there that are like, oh, you have to spend a lot of money. Not necessarily. I didn't really start spending a lot of money, and I don't even want to say a lot. I didn't really start spending more money until I reached book 7 and I had more of the capacity to do so. But don't let that stop you from publishing because you can do it. And the beautiful thing about doing it through Amazon or through Ingram Spark is you get to keep all the rights to it. Traditional publishing is wonderful. You get a contract, all that. I hope to do it one day, but you do lose the rights to your book. It becomes theirs. That's part of the agreement. And I'm sure there are probably ways to wiggle room it. I don't know. I can't speak to it because I haven't traditionally published yet. But that doesn't mean you can't do it or do it both. I mean, Colleen Hoover is a perfect example. And I know there are people that aren't a fan of hers, but like she started off as an indie author and look at her now. Like she's huge. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, my daughters, we go to the library and she's like, I want to read the new Colleen Hoover book. Or yeah,
she
she's
started
read
off
them
as
all.
indie. She started off as indie. And the thing that I love about her still, I don't know if she's still doing this, but she would publish an indie book a year and then a traditional book a year. So she's still using both routes, even though she's super successful.
That's awesome. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
So, when will your book, I know you're in the stages of having it edited and stuff right at the moment, but when are
Yes.
we looking for a release date on?
I am hoping, let's see, we're in October, right? Next month.
Mm.
But I got to figure all the logistics out. My editor doesn't have it right now. She does 2 passes, so she's on the first pass right now. It has come back to me. I make the corrections that she suggests. It goes back to her for like final cleanup. And then I have to decide if I do want to indie author it, indie publish it, or try to go traditional, which I might try to go traditional. Um, so it's all gonna kind of depend on that. The thing is, too, if you go traditional, it could take 6 months, it could take a year. It depends. Depends on their publishing schedule. And I might get a little impatient. So more than likely, it's probably gonna be indie published. Definitely before the end of the year. Definitely before the end of the year.
That's awesome. Okay, just to give you, because I wanted to take a break there. How much time are we looking at?
We're at 30 right now,
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure because I didn't really look at the clock, but I wanted to.
which is a nice spot.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Any other direction you want to go?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, doesn't matter. All right.
I literally gave you full free reign.
Full free reign. Love it. Okay, so I love the fact that, just by reaching out and finding other people who have a little bit of information on this or they've done that or whatever the case may be, you can really connect with a lot of different people and it doesn't take a whole lot to get that information. So it's amazing that it's really that simple to publish your own book. I mean, I would have never guessed that prior to meeting you. I would have thought, like you said, there's those social norms that we get stuck and kind of bound by. And I love the fact that, with what we do in our group spiritually, we work a lot on our mind, you know, mindset and, self-concept, which has, I think, helped us break free and tear away some of those norms and how we view things and kind of give us the confidence to go outside of what we traditionally have been programmed with.
Yeah.
But it's a path for sure. Kind of opens up a whole new world. So, with everything that you've got going on, and I know you said that you wanted to go further with the book that you just wrote, what kind of time frame are you looking at for that? Because you went through a lot just with writing this last one, and I know because I was there for quite a bit of it. Um, Real quickly, why don't you explain all of the stuff that you encountered just writing this book?
Oh, so much. Um, if anything, I think just too, because I was working on mindset, it brought a lot to the surface. Imposter syndrome is something I've dealt with every book, but like this book, because I changed genres, because I was writing in first person. A lot of times, well, I don't want to say a lot of times because there's no like set for anything, but um, some of those really great fantasies are written in third person. It's not my jam. I just don't like writing third person, and I wasn't about to force myself, but that gets you guessing like, oh, are people going to read this if it's in first person? Um, Finding what works, like worrying about overstepping, worrying about stepping outside of a genre. Because that again, going back to Colleen Hoover, she got a lot of slack when she first stepped out of her genre as well. I don't think Verity was her first one, but she stepped out into suspense, and sometimes it was well received and sometimes it wasn't. Some people love it, some people hate it. But all that to say, that's any book. That's any person. Stephen King, who has been writing books for years. My dad and I were just talking about Stephen King yesterday. He's got to be on like 40. I don't even know, honestly, because he writes so much. There are still people that hate him, but he's wildly, wildly successful. There are people that hate J.K. Rowling or dislike J.K. Rowling. She's wildly, wildly successful. Um, and the thing that I love to remind myself about too is a lot of these people that are wildly successful were successful before Instagram, before TikTok, before Facebook. So there's still the possibility of being successful even without these platforms, because there's always that too. Social media is not, I don't like love it or hate it. It's just, it doesn't excite me. It's not something that I get super excited about posting where I'm like, oh my God. Occasionally I will if I have a good idea, but then it kind of kicks you in the head because if it doesn't get 100,000 views, you're like, oh my God, it was crap, which is ridiculous. But that's where our
Yeah.
mind goes.
And it seems like that's really like the direction that they really want you to go. They want you to be posting on social media to get it out there. And like you said, look at the amount of authors that were incredibly famous without social media. But here's the other thing though, you know, whether you love them or hate them, if they're getting attention, attention is still attention.
That's
And
another very good point.
that still is drawing focus to that person. So, you know, whether it's good or bad, they're still getting the attention. And the only way that somebody could say that they hated a book is if they actually bought it and read it. So, I
Yep.
mean,
So it's just letting go of all of that, letting go of, like a lot of people from my generation caring about what other people think because it doesn't matter. Just letting go of all of that, which is not easy, but you just got to let it go of all of it. And I really had to embrace letting go a lot of that because I don't know if I would have finished it if I didn't, because there was just so much of what if they hate it? What if this is the turning point in the wrong direction? What if, all those what ifs that we go through, all
oh,
the
for
things that
sure.
all that catastrophic thinking. That was a big thing of with this book was just letting go and embracing the people that the universe did send to me. Like I was clearly meant to find that cover artist because she's not only doing the cover, she's doing the map because most fantasies have a map in the front of it. Um, and just making a super cool connection with somebody that's crazy talented.
Oh, definitely. I've been fortunate enough to see some of the stuff, so it's amazing. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see, the full finished product.
Wait till you see the
That's
update
just,
today.
oh,
Woo!
oh my gosh. It's
She's
just
so
been absolutely
talented.
amazing. Yes, she is very much so. So with that being said, you went through, finding a lot of different things about yourself in the process of writing this. Going from having all of those um, expectations, the what ifs, you moved in the process too, you know, relocated. You did have to push your book back a little bit on account of it. I know you were stressed about that in writing.
Yep.
Like, how are you feeling now with all of that took place? Because it was a lot.
It was a lot. God bless my editor because I literally wrote her and I was like, I am not gonna have this done on time. I'm really sorry. And you could tell she's a writer too because she's like, I'm impressed by anybody that moves and doesn't unalive their own family, let alone like write a book. And I was like, well, you ain't wrong. Um, that was another thing I had to let go of is putting pressure on myself, like this constant, like, oh my God, I have to get this done. I did have to this last time, or my editor probably would have been like, you're not allowed to book with me anymore because I missed 2 deadlines. Um, but it is a reminder to give yourself grace. Like the only person who's putting pressure on yourself is you. Because there was that thought in my back of my mind too, like, oh, if I take too long to publish another one, everybody's gonna forget I exist, which is again ridiculous. Like you see certain people that put out a book every month or a book every couple months, and I'm like, first of all, if I did that, I'd get major burnout. Props to the people that do it. I could not do it. I'd be burned the heck out. Um, but nobody's gonna forget you. I mean, if anything, new people will find me, and I'm gonna be on TikTok now. God save me. But um, I'll make new friends on TikTok. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's billions of people. You'll make plenty of new friends, but
Ugh.
you're too cool to not keep all your old ones anyway. So,
Oh
but you know what
man,
they
I never
say.
thought I'd hear my name and cool in the same sentence. Um, that MKG song that in like 9 lives were like he says at the end like this is for all the people who weren't cool. I'm like that's me.
Well, to me, woo. So, all right, now that we've kind of gotten the process thereof of what you've done, we kind of have figured out that you were always pretty creative, and it's probably no one's surprised by the path that you've taken. I'm guessing, like friends, family, they were all probably
People
like,
that
yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, people that knew me like really, really well. Because even, some of your family doesn't really know like the ins and outs of you. But yeah, people that knew me really, really, really well. Obviously, like my mom and dad, my husband, those are really like the main people. It's kind of funny, I think, because like we always think everybody's always thinking about us, but they're really not. So like even people that were close to me were like, "Really? He wrote a book?" And it's like, "Okay, yeah, I did."
That ego, man, it gets you, doesn't it?
It
We have
does.
to
And
debunk a lot.
yeah, we certainly do. Because I promise you, that person that you think that's looking at you is not looking at you 90% of the
Right.
time.
Right. They might be looking at you, but they're really looking through you and they're thinking about something completely different, and you have no bearing on their mind whatsoever.
Yep,
So, yeah. And we're learning a lot of that going through a lot of the spiritual work and trying to separate the ego and utilize our intuition, and then you throw in the astrology portion and the human design to try to figure out how you work so that you can work to the best of your ability by knowing all your little quirks and you know what works best for you, which is
exactly.
so completely different because I know you and I, we've talked a lot. Like our birth charts are pretty similar to some degree. We're only a couple days apart, but I mean, there is the difference of 5 years and, AM
Different
versus PM,
locations.
but
Yep,
yeah, different locations. But I mean, it's still really cool how incredibly different you can be from somebody that you have so much in common with.
oh, absolutely. I mean, I say the same thing, much like you and me. My husband has a friend, um, and the how similar they are, yet like kind of different at the same time is wild. But like they're both Leos. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh, for sure. I know now that I'm starting to learn some of this, I see something in like one of my kids or somebody that I know, and I'll be like, oh, that's why. It's that Leo placement, or it's that Virgo, or it's the Libra, or what, it's
Yep,
whatever. But yeah, I'm
it's that
I'm
Sag
seeing
fire.
yes. That Gemini, that two faces, or what is it? The two person I can't I'm still
I know.
learning, so but
I know.
all right.
Geminis get such a bad rap.
They do, but I don't think they're all that bad.
No,
I think being bad is a choice. I don't think it's an astrological sign or a
no.
human design code or anything like that.
No.
You
Well, and
can
one of the
be,
things that like I learned the most about astrology too is like, because when you first hear anything about astrology, all you ever know is your sun, right? So, and we base so much of our personality just on the sun placement, but there are so many other placements that make a difference. Like most of us have placements in numerous houses and numerous zodiacs. So like my husband's a perfect example. He is like the least Leo that I've ever met in my life. But that's because he has other like placements. He has other placements in different zodiacs that balance him out, and it makes sense why he may be a Leo sun, but that definitely isn't the dominant part of his personality.
oh, for sure. That was me. I'm the creative, Aquarius, but which is my sun, but my rising is Leo, and I'm a Cancer moon. And I was like, I could never always just be like, yeah, I'm totally an Aquarius. Like that's totally me. No, no, it's not. I am definitely a fiery Leo for sure. But I wear my heart on my sleeve where some Aquarius can be very, held back when it comes to being emotional.
Yep. And
That's
I'm the
not
same as
me
you
at
are.
all.
I'm very
Yeah.
emotional, which uh is even surprising for me because I am Aquarius sun also, but I'm also an Aquarius rising. So I'm a double Aquarius, but I have stellums in other places. So
Yeah, it's very interesting. So for anybody that doesn't know, they really should go check it out. Um,
yeah, at least look at
Loren,
your to get an idea of like where you sit and your human design. I was even more fascinated by my human design. We're gonna get um I just put out a post looking for new guests, and a gal commented that she's a human design person. So we're gonna get another human design person on to come and talk about the importance and how it relates to like every day. So we'll dive into that this season.
Oh, that is so awesome. So awesome. I have found such an interest in it myself. So I'm definitely looking forward to figuring out more of mine, along with, the astrology portion. But what is on the horizon for you for the next year or so? You just got done with the book. I mean, I know you're not completely finished. You still got some stuff to handle concerning it and launching and everything, but
I will definitely keep writing and keep podcasting, like we've already talked about. And I'm forever a learner. That was something that I found out in my chart. Like I'm always wanting to learn new things. So I'll keep learning new things. I'll probably learn more about human design. We're taking an astrology course. I actually want to learn to play the drums. I know, so random. I'm gonna roller skate again. I used to roller skate every Friday when I was a kid. Definitely bringing that back. So if you live in my neighborhood, come watch me fall down for a little while. Um, yeah,
I'm
I'm just
making a
gonna be
trip
learning new
just
things.
just so.
You can just FaceTime me and watch me fall. It's fine.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I'll just be learning all the new things. Maybe I'll take singing lessons. I don't know.
Hey, whatever ignites your passion in the moment, go do it. No matter how big or
Exactly.
little it is.
See? Perfect. And that's a perfect ending point. Go find your passion. Listen to, even if you don't like Bashar, follow what excites you. Follow the glitter. Whatever you want to use as your thing. I love follow the glitter. I'm gonna have to get a t-shirt that says follow the glitter. Um,
Yeah. And then the hat too that we talked about. Yeah.
yeah. See? We're gonna make I guess I'm gonna have to talk to what was her name? Marianne, and make sure that I'm not stealing her idea.
Right?
But
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
We don't want no copyright infringements or,
no copyright infringements. Yeah. All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed getting to learn a little bit about me. That was really weird for me. I felt like I should have been quizzing Buffy the whole time. So just know that I am definitely more of the host than the interviewee. But Buffy will probably be back, obviously, because we like Buffy. I like Buffy. Um,
Aw, thanks. I love ya.
and be ready for I'm gonna call them Tarot Tuesdays just because they're catchy. But you know,
Love it.
creative, spiritual Tuesdays, true crime Thursdays, and how to deal when the shit gets real Friday. And this is how to deal when shit gets real. And see y'all next episode.
Bye.